So here's another Amish sale in Reedsville, PA. The address is Reedsville. It's actually closer to Honey Creek or Siglerville. It's a white topper sale, so we got a white top buggy, and then we probably have either a Pioneer or Master Equipment. I get them confused. I'm not sure which it is. But if that wheel is all that's wrong, a lot of guys get scared of that, but that's actually a pretty easy fix. And here's a common Amish setup. You know, you got the motor and the saw. And here's a corn sheller. And I'm not sure who made that. Most of the corn shellers around here are New Holland or David Bradley. There's some crosses around. That kind of has the feel of a New Holland, but I'm not sure. And there we got a Peckway tedder. I've lost all interest in Peckway tedders or Nicholson tedders or any kind of tedder. And here we got another harrow. Here we got, I believe, is going to be a Rosenthal Husker shredder. Again, back in the day, 20 years ago, that was a hot commodity. I tried to buy all of them I can. Unfortunately, the last one I think I lost $600 on. This isn't a very common piece for the local Amish. Most of these guys don't have field cultivators like that. That's very rare for this area. And we got a flatbed. And there we have probably a 9-foot, maybe 10-foot cultipacker. Again, with the basket harrows coming out, cultipackers are tough, harrows are tough, even discs are tough. And here's another one of these Esh tedders. Again, not a lot of these white toppers own these tedders. I don't know if it's too expensive for them or what it is, but they just don't own them. And here we got a 55 New Holland rake. I didn't look at it that close. I'm just, they bring more than they're worth every time. And here we probably have another Pioneer Hostetler plow. I believe that's probably going to be a Pioneer. I'm not sure. Again, it's hard for me to tell the difference. That kind of looks like an international disc, but there is some oddness to it. I'm going to say that's an international, but that is very different than the normal internationals we see. I almost kind of think years and years ago someone ditched some altercation for that and changed it up quite a bit. But yeah, that's going to be international. And there's an old wooden harrow or wooden roller. Again, quite common in our area. And there's a pretty cool piece. That's another stock chopper like it was about 2-3 weeks ago at a sale. When you transport, you do that, and then whenever you use it, you just flip the whole thing over. So the wheels are sticking up in the air and the cutter's down in the ground. And here we got a Nicholson tedder. It was usually a low-end tedder. Again, I've sold them over the years, but they're just, with the new tedders out and guys getting pickier, it's a hard thing. Very hard to sell. And here we got a cart with a scraper blade on it. And we come over here. And we got a little homemade cart. And here we got a binder. I'm gonna say, if I remember right, I worked on this probably 15 years ago. Some of that is mine, but then he just had someone else working on it too, and it wasn't me. Someone else just put new knives and stuff in it. I'm not sure he's gonna get his money back on that one. And here, let me show you what some of my competition is doing. Instead of bolting or riveting the platform, well, I can't say that. Now I don't know. I think that might be an original platform. That's interesting. What one of the guys does around here that does grain binders, he actually takes and welds a new table to that angle iron. Oh, it drives me crazy. It's cheap and it's easier than doing what I do. It's just one of them things I wouldn't do it. I don't know. I'm a snob, I guess. Here we got an elevator with most of the paddles missing. We got a running gear with a couple issues. Here we got a McCormick Deering corn planter with discs on it instead of shoes. You get half the people like them, half the people don't like them. So that's a 50-50 thing. You trying sell some guys shoe planters and they'll say no, I want discs. You sell other guys, disc planters. No, I want shoes. But pretty good fertilizers. Fertilizer boxes are really nice. That's not a bad piece, but again, corn planting in our area it's tough. Tough to sell. And there's another nice, fairly good looking corn binder. But they're just bringing money. And there I see down there, it's missing a chain for some reason. And I'm not sure why, so that's kind of a red flag. But I've got 6 corn binders now, so I'm definitely not interested in a corn binder. And here we got a little 1-horse Osborne mower. That's actually from competition the other direction from the grain binder. Yeah, a paint job. I'm not saying they did much to it, but they definitely painted it. They probably put a pitman on it. Looks like they put new knife in it, new guards, some other new stuff. But you hope they did more than paint it. You hope they went over a little bit, but you never know. And there is probably a David Bradley fallow filler and sledge cutter. They were never really popular in our area. Again, 30, 40 years ago, we bought a lot of them and sold a lot of them. But they were always a low-end cutter compared to the McCormick Deerings or the Papex. And here we got a light McCormick Deering hay loader. It's pretty straight. I looked at it earlier. I don't see a lot wrong with it. Certain things go wrong with these hay loaders you really have to watch. But again, right now the hay loader is not even strong enough. The hay loader market, it's not really strong enough to even consider buying it as far as I'm concerned. That changed a little wonky on that sprocket. McCormick Deering cranks aren't as bad as New Ideas, but that kind of says it might be bent, just because that chain. Oh, there it looks a little better. It might just be the chain is bad. The chains again, this would not be as bad as a New Idea hay loader, but New Idea hay loader chains right now are probably over $100 a piece, so it's not a cheap fix. And then we got what's a JBA, and around here a KBA is the real popular one, but this is a JBA. And one way to tell the difference is it has a little ball there, socket, kind of like a hitch, an upside down hitch. But again, that's not as popular as the KBA. It's a little lighter all the way around. It's just probably not as well built. But that's a, I won't say it's a less popular one, but it definitely doesn't bring the money as a KBA. And here he's got 3 hammer mills in various states of repair. I'm not sure what kind they are. That kind of looks like a Harvey. You can kind of tell a Harvey by the color once in a while. And here we got a John Deere, another disc planter. He must like disc planters. No fertilizer, so it's really not worth talking about. It's probably not worth the gas to get it home even for $5 or $10. I have so many of them. The only thing it would really be maybe a buying point for that would be to get those discs just in case someone asks for it. And here we got a number 7 cutter. If you remember last week's sale, A lot of similar stuff, but this is going to be a totally different price than last week's sale. This is very common here. It's eating out. The drum is starting to eat out. So you're looking, you're looking over 250, 275 for that, and down there you're looking at another 275, 300. And you got a bent wheel. And here's another. That's probably going to be a Master Equipment plow. I'm not quite sure again between the Pioneer and the Master Equipment, but based on the orange wheels, that's probably a Master Equipment. And here we got probably a 56. I'm going to say it's a 56, no, 256 hay rake. Again, I'm kind of less interested in selling hay rakes because money, they bring what they're worth every time. And here we got another 4-cart. And here we got a Peckway spreader. Here's why you see I don't like them. There's a hole in the floor. The floor's got a dip. Back there's not a hole in the floor, a hole in the side. Back there's another hole. It's already got a patch. There's a patch. It's just, once they get so thin, you can't fix them. Everything is welded. I mean, it's just basically a steel box. And there's just no way to weld it. I suppose you can plate it and bolt it, but after that, it's welded. And here you got a Master Equipment. They've really come into our area pretty strong. It's fairly new spreader by the looks of it. I know they have some issues in their front end though, so I'm not sure. I have no interest in that either. I'll stick with new ideas. So far we got this and this. And then we come down here. We have what's probably going to be a Peckway corn planter. We got a 336 baler. That's kind of rare for these guys too. They usually like a little smaller planter or baler than that. And here we got a gravity box. Here we got a McCormick grain cultivator. Pretty common. Really bad wheel. It's got some wobble to it. And here we have a number 9. Pretty tight as far as wiggle goes. But that welded frame, that's a killer. And there's a trailer regular gear. I shouldn't say it's a killer because I'm going to John Deere right now with a welded frame. There's a White Horse plow. An Ontario grain drill. Another 4-cart. There's a homemade seeder. There's an INJ 1-row cultivator. It's actually pretty tight for an INJ. INJs are never that tight. Again, big flaw on the INJs, never that tight. And there's a pretty common Detroit diesel these guys use to fill silo, thresh your grain. This guy had a lot of plows too, so that's probably another Master Equipment. Again, I'm not sure. Pretty sure. There's a homemade cart. And there's probably going to be a Pioneer walking plow or a Hosteller or maybe even Master Equipment. I'm not sure Master Equipment makes it. Here's an interesting piece. This is a plastic layer made from a corn planter frame. And just some odds and ends. Yeah. So the plastic would go on this pipe right here, and then the wheels would come along and hold it down. It probably had some hillers on there to put dirt on it at one time. And here we got the cream of the crop as far as potato plows go. It's got a little star wheel here that actually shakes those grates as it goes along. The star hits the ground, and every time it goes, it bumps those grates to knock the dirt off. And there's another wagon. I'm not sure who made that. That's probably going to be a Pioneer cart, but I'm not sure of that either. And there's a cute little thing. There's a homemade homemade sled. It won't bring much. They never do here, but it's kind of cute. And last but not least is an elevator. And that's the sale here in Reedsville on this crummy day. And I'm not sure you can see it, but I think you can see 7 mountains past that elevator there. And this is I don't know if it's world famous, but it's Pennsylvania known. 7 mountains of Pennsylvania. I think you can see all 7 right there. The clouds are covering it up. It's a pretty cool area. He's back in off a road, probably a half mile or a quarter of a mile. So he's got like no traffic, cars going by or anything like this. I dealt with this guy a long time ago. But you can kind of see some of the stuff has worked on it, and I didn't do any of it. So, you know, it's just how it happens. There a lot of choices in our area who they go to get stuff fixed. And I know him, and he had a wheel of mine for probably 10 years. Every time I asked him for it, he said, yeah, I'll get it out for you. You know, 10 years goes by, and he finally calls me a week before the sale and says, I got your wheel out. So, you know, I picked it up last week. But yeah, that was a 10-year saga trying to get a wheel from him that was mine. So yeah, pretty nice barn. That's a big barn. Big barn. Underneath there's a lot of stalls for cows that are empty. So, you know, obviously a dairy farm at one time. This is a nice part of Mifflin County. Really nice part of Mifflin County. And my house is probably, I want to say maybe 1 mountain over, and plus a couple little valleys or a couple little ridges. And that's the sale for today.